Good afternoon, Flamingos, those joining other teams, faculty, Ms. Bet, Mr. Kidd, and my family. Peanut, peanut, and peanut. What do those three things have in common? Absolutely nothing. That word represented three different ideas. The first one, the nut. The second one, the comic strip with Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and Schroeder. And the third one was the nickname my father gave me when I was a newborn. Now I know what you're probably thinking, Abby, what are you talking about? The point of all of this is that these three drastically different items have nothing in common, except for their label. A label is a general term for a word or a name that is used to identify an object. It can be anything from a sticker on a jar to a street sign. And from the moment we are brought into the world, we are given our first label, our sex, male or female, which is determined by our 23rd sex chromosomes. Then we are given our name, and then a birth certificate, which has multiple labels within itself. And from there on out, our label is one object that a label maker cannot wait to get his hands on. Some of these labels are concrete and cannot be changed, for example, our birth date or biological parents. But as we go out into the world and start developing our own distinct identities, that is when these labels start to become more abstract. On September 2015, I started attending Ridley. On my first day of school, I was a bundle of emotions. Excited to be starting at a new place, paired with an abundance of nerves and fear. This caused my brain to spiral and create absurd questions. What if they don't like me? What if I'm not smart enough? They all have their friends and I'm going to be alone. And on top of that, they threw me and 60 strangers on a bus and into the middle of nowhere for 3 days. Long story short, my first day of school, I was a nervous wreck. And as I was walking into the lower school courtyard for the first time, I took some time to reflect, and I realized, nobody here knows me. I could be whoever I want to be, and no one would second guess it. I went into the camp weekend with the impression that I was going to be labeled as the smart, cool, quiet girl. And if you know one thing about me, that quiet label was dropped pretty quickly. I think this is a universal feeling that all of us, no matter what our ages, can relate to. Whether it is your first day of school, or a job interview, or university applications. We all tend to create these labels for ourselves, only for them to quickly drop and replaced by other ones, some of which we don't necessarily agree with. As humans with empathy, we go through life trying to please people. And sometimes people will give us these labels that aren't true. Now, I want you to visualize for me. You're a young kid filled with the unbridled joy that comes from infancy. You have no cares in the world, no stressors, no IB deadlines, or icing work. The only decision you have to make is whether you want to watch SpongeBob or Dora when you get home. You show up to daycare with an abundance of unwarranted swagger, and you see your best friend. You've had a little disagreement over whether you like chicken strips or fingers, and she calls you the S word. Stupid. You are filled with rage, sadness, and betrayal, and you run to the teacher to tell on your friend. This is the first time of many where someone will label you with something that you are not. And as we mature and individuals tend to get smarter, those labels become more backhanded and hurtful. And nothing hurts more than when it comes from someone who we thought was a friend. We start getting these titles, some of which are nice, others not so much, and we start to believe them. We start second-guessing everything we're doing because we're worried about how others are going to think, and we start to believe, other people think this about me, therefore it must be true. We start molding our personalities around these labels, and we start thinking that the opinions of others define us. This lends itself to a much larger idea of names that we are given versus the person we are. A quote that I believe fully illustrates this idea of labels and identity is from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. It is spoken by one of the titular characters, Juliet, and the quote is, "What's in a name that which we call a rose by any other name would still smell as sweet?" If you don't remember this from grade 9 English, Juliet is lamenting the fact that the love of her life is a Montague. She's in love with Romeo and knows that his family name is the only thing separating them. Shakespeare uses a metaphor when he makes Romeo and Juliet refer to Romeo as a rose, a beautiful object with a wonderful scent. And if we were to call it a daisy, a peonies, or a lily, it would still have the same shape, same color, and same scent. The label would not change the flower at all. She was still in love with Romeo as a person, and the Montague did not change that. If you're in grade 9 English, you're welcome. Throw that in an essay, your teacher will love it. Now, I realized I started to make labels look like a bad thing, and I framed them as something that always goes against your identity. But that is not always the case. A recent piece of news that caught my eye is when Canadian actor Elliot Page came out as a transgendered man. He made a heartwarming post on his social media that I would like to share with you. He said, "I feel an overwhelming gratitude for the incredible people who supported me along this journey. I cannot begin to express how remarkable it feels to finally love who I am enough to be my authentic self." Elliot changed his labels, his pronouns, to he/they, and in turn it helped him achieve his true identity. His pronouns do not take away his talent, his kindness, or his relationship with others. He is still the previous version of himself, only more genuine. So, Tigers, I implore you, if you zoned out 6 minutes ago or stopped listening after the whole peanut debacle, just understand this major takeaway. Our identity is shaped by many different elements. And it does not matter what labels other people give you. The only people whose opinion should matter is your own. So, if you're in the Great Hall and you overhear someone call you a mean name, or if you're sitting down for a university application and you have no idea what 3 words best describe you, remember this. A label can be used to identify you, but they don't define you.